Hi, this is Mauro from ImperiumInfotech.com, and on this video, I will walk you through all the new features and changes included on Windows 10 version 19.3 or April 2019 update. This is a 7th major update that Microsoft is releasing for Windows 10, and it is an incremental update that delivers a bunch of new improvements, but you won't find a lot of big new features. There is a lot to cover, so let's just dive into it. But before we move on, make sure to remember to check the video description section to get updated information about the release date and the steps to get this new feature update. Okay, let's dive into the new changes. Starting with version 19.3, Windows 10 is adding an acrylic effect part of Fluent Design to the sign-in background. The blur that you can see now in the background helps you to center the attention on the login task by removing the distraction and making the experience easier to use. And yes, you can disable this blur effect using the Settings app or Group Policy. In this new version, the Start menu isn't getting significant changes, but now it features a new simplified default layout for tiles that will appear on new installations and new accounts, which, according to the company, it has been simplified into a sleek one-column design to reduce top-level tiles. Now you can also right-click a group or a tile folder to find an option to unpin that group or folder, as you can see right here. In addition, you will find new icons for the sleep, shutdown, and restart options in the power menu, and new icons for the profile menu, such as for the change your account settings, log, and sign-on options. Another interesting change happening with the Windows 10 April 2019 update is Microsoft breaking up Cortana and Search into two separate experiences. As a result, when you start a search, you will notice an updated landing page with better spacing to show your recent activities from timeline and the more recent apps at the top, with a new set of tiles that have rounded corners, and you also see a shadow effect as you hover over them. And this new search experience also includes support for the light theme and subtle acrylic effects all across the experience. If you click on apps, you will also notice a similar experience with your frequent apps at the top and the most recent apps at the bottom. As you would expect, hovering over the items, you can find an option to remove that item from the list. You can also right-click the item to access the context menu to execute different actions. And you can also go to the Documents section, Emails, Web, and you can also access different search filters, such as for settings, music, people, and more. Of course, Cortana is still part of Windows 10, but now you have to click a separate button to launch the experience, which actually now starts directly into the voice command mode. In addition to the Settings app, you will find two new pages to control the Cortana settings and another page to configure the search settings, but that will be something that we'll show you in more details when we're looking into the Settings app changes for the April 2019 update. In the taskbar, more specifically in the notification area, Windows 10 is also including a new disconnected icon when there is no internet connection on your device. Also, there is a new microphone icon in the notification area, as you can see right here, that appears when your microphone is in use, and hovering over the icon, it will show you the app that is currently accessing the device. If you have multiple apps accessing the microphone, then you will see a number of the apps using the device. Also, double clicking the icon, it will take you straight to the microphone settings page. Finally, you will also see an updated Windows Update icon in the notification area and in the Start menu power button with a new orange indicator alerting you when a restart to apply an update is pending. Starting with the April 2019 update, Action Center adds a new slider to quickly adjust brightness of the screen using any level, instead of using a button like it was available previously that only allowed you to select between 4 different levels of brightness. I'm using a virtual machine, so that feature is not available to me, but you can see in this screenshot from Microsoft how that slider looks like. You can now also rearrange, add and remove quick action buttons without having to open the Settings app. If you need to add or remove buttons, simply right-click at the bottom of the section and then click Edit to remove or add new buttons. Once you've finished, just click the button to update the changes. As part of the File Explorer updates with the April 2019 update, you will now find a new modernized icon to represent the application, which is similar to the design language that Microsoft is using for its new Office apps icons. Here is a bigger version of the icon that shows you in more detail how this new icon looks like. With version 1903, you will also find a new date format called User-Friendly Dates that shows you dates in a conversational format. For instance, 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago, or older files such as Monday at 7:20 a.m., which is a lot easier to understand than just the old version that just show a lot of numbers that are difficult to visualize quickly. Also, the downloads folder now shows the most recent download files at the top to help users to find content faster, as more people never specify a name for internet files and then they just get lost in the folder. Finally, File Explorer now allows you to rename files using a dot at the beginning of the name, as you can see right here. Previously, if you try to create a file, you will get an error, but you don't get that error anymore. If you use the new clipboard experience on Windows 10, beginning with this new version, the interface is getting updated to optimize the design for text snippets, making each entry a lot smaller to fit more content. Perhaps one of the biggest changes with the Windows 10 version 19.3 is the new System Light theme that brings lighter colors to the Start menu, Action Center, taskbar, Touch keyboard, and other elements that previously didn't have a light color scheme when switching from the dark to the light system theme. The new color scheme is available from Settings, Personalization, Colors, and by selecting the light option from the drop-down menu. You still have the dark mode, and if you want to use the old version of the light mode, simply select the custom option and then use the dark mode for the Windows mode and the light mode for the app modes. Another way that you can switch to the new light mode is going to Themes, where you will notice a new Windows light theme. Selecting this option, it will switch to the new light mode. As part of this new version, the printing experience now supports the light theme as well, and you will notice that options now include icons and drop-down menus show a line of description. Also, the name of the printer will now use a wrap instead of cutting off the name. On Windows 10 version 19.3, the game bar experience is getting a new gallery to view screenshots and videos without having to leave the game. This is how the new gallery looks like, and it also includes options to copy the image and even an option to share the image using Twitter. Okay, so now that we're here, let's just jump into the new changes for the Settings app coming with the April 2019 update. In this new feature update, you're going to find a lot of refinements in new settings, including this new header on the homepage that is inspired by the Microsoft account homepage. And it allows you to quickly take actions to things like signing in and managing your Microsoft account. As you can see now that you will also see your account information. And it also gives you an easy to glance at the system status, such as for Windows Update, OneDrive, and other frequent settings that you access. You also notice that each icon has a badge. In this case, Windows Update is showing the badge as green, which indicates that the computer is up to date. But I do need to pay attention to OneDrive, as you can see the icon right here, because I'm not currently signed in, so my files are not syncing to the cloud. Since the April 2018 update, Windows 10 includes an option to automatically fix high DPI scaling for apps that might look blurry after you change the display settings. However, it was an option that you needed to enable manually. Starting with the April 2019 update, this option is enabled by default on the advanced scaling settings. In the notifications and actions page, you will notice that it is not possible to update the quick action buttons because now those settings has been moved to Action Center, but you still get a link that would actually open Action Center where you can edit the quick action buttons. On Focus Assist, the page has been updated with a new automatic rule to let you remove distractions while you're working on anything in full screen. In the power and sleep page, you will now find a slider to change the system power mode for better performance, best performance, or to save battery. This is the same option that was previously available through the power flyout in the taskbar. The storage settings page has also been redesigned to see at a glance how the space is being utilized instead of having to select each drive to see the same information, which wasn't really intuitive in the past. As a result of this change, you will no longer find the storage sense section, but you can still access the settings to control the experience clicking this option. Also, under the more storage settings section, you will find new options to access advanced storage settings, such as the defragmentation tool. And if you have multiple drives, to see the storage usage for those drives, you have to click this option, where you can access all of the local drives connected to your computer. The printers and scanners settings page has also been updated, but it only includes a new link, so you can run the troubleshooter if you encounter any issues with the printer connected to your computer. In the typing page, at the bottom of the page, you will also find an option that takes you straight to the cursor and pointers settings page to customize related settings. Starting with the April 2019 update, inside of the properties page, to manage Ethernet settings, you can now configure a static IP address and DNS preferences. You can do this by clicking the edit button and selecting the manual option and enabling the protocol that you want to customize. Although this is new to Windows 10 version 1903, you have been able to configure the settings for wireless adapters for a long time. In addition, the corresponding Ethernet adapter name will now be listed under the Ethernet header, so you can easily tell the difference between each adapter. In the colors page, the options to change the color mode and to disable and enable transparency has now been moved to the top of the page so that they're easy to find. And like we looked earlier on the video, using this drop-down menu, you can choose between the different color modes available for Windows 10. If you disable the transparency effect option, it will disable transparency across the desktop and even on the sign-in screen. As you can see, we get a background without the blur. On the themes page, you're not going to find any new settings, but now on this page, you will find a new Windows Light theme, which when selected, it will not only turn on the light theme, but it will set your background with the default Windows 10 wallpaper. In the fonts page, you will find a new option that allows you to drag and drop files to install fonts on your computer. In the apps and features page, you're also not getting new settings, but in this section you will notice that the wording has been updated for the description and for the options. But everything is still the same. Also, starting with version 1903, Microsoft is making changes to uninstall even more apps that you don't use, including 3D Viewer, Calculator, Calendar, Group Music, Mail, Movies and TV, Paint 3D, Snip and Sketch, and many more. So let me just show you that I can actually look for the calculator, and you will see now that the option to uninstall is available and you can actually remove it. The same is true for other apps such as Paint 3D. As you can see right there, if you don't need the app, you can now remove it. On version 19.03, Windows 10 is also updating the sign-in option settings page to make it easier for users to set up authentication methods, including Windows Hello Face, fingerprint, password, and picture password. In addition, there is a new option to set up a security key to authenticate with the operating system. Also, if you use a Microsoft account linked with a phone number, you can now use an SMS code to sign in and continue setting up your account without the need of a password. Once you are in your Windows 10 account, you can use Windows Hello Face, fingerprint, or a PIN as your primary method of authentication. Finally, when you need to change your PIN, this new version is also updating the reset experience to align with the same design that you see on the Microsoft Web Services, as you can see right here. In the date and time settings page, you will now find an option to manually synchronize the clock with the time server. This will help in scenarios where you think the clock might be out of sync or if the time server has been disabled. Also, starting with version 19.03, the settings app will now show the last time the clock was successfully synced and the source of the current time server. In the language settings page, when adding a new language, Windows 10 will now offer separate options for installing the language packages and setting up the language as the window display language. In addition, you will find separate options for installing speech recognition and text-to-speech features, when these features are actually available for the language that you're trying to install. Also, there is a new page that allows you to select the input method to always use as default and access the settings to adjust language bar options and input language hotkeys. In the speech settings page, there is a new section that shows the current voice packages installed on your computer, and you get a new option to download additional voices in other languages without having to download the language pack using the narrator settings. You just need to click the Add Voice and then just select the voice package that you want to include on your computer and then just click that button to install. In the cursor and pointer settings page, you will now find a new slider to change the size of your mouse pointer. Also, you can now select this option to change the color of the pointer, and after you select the option, you will get some suggested colors that you can use. And if the color that you want isn't there, you can just click the Pick a Custom Pointer Color option to create your own color. In the color filters page, you won't find new settings, but now you will see a new warning about nightlight that might be affecting the color filter experience, and you will get a link so you can disable nightlight to use the feature. In version 19.03, the narrators page is also getting updated with a number of changes. You will now find that many of the settings have been reorganized. You will find new section and updated text. For instance, in the Startup Options section, you will now find additional options such as these two right here. In this section, you can use this drop-down menu to select the different options to control the amount of content that you hear using Narrator. You also get a new option that allows you to create your custom keyboard commands.
Start settings window, narrator dialog, OK, button, exiting narrator.
And under this section, you now have an option that allows you to select the cursor navigation modes. There is a lot more that's going on under the hood for Narrator, so make sure to check the video description with the link to learn more about these changes. As we looked earlier, the April 2019 update also introduces a new updated search experience, and with it, we're also getting a new search section to manage indexing and other settings. Technically, Windows 10 is making available the indexing settings already available in Control Panel, but with additional features. The new section includes 3 new pages, including the new Searching Windows page, which allows you to manage the indexing settings. In the indexing status section, you can see the items that have already been indexed and those items that are still pending to be searchable. In the Find My Files section, you can now select the Enhanced mode, which is a new feature that enables the operating system to search all your folders and drives instead of just your documents, pictures, videos, and desktop, which is the case if you use the classic option. If you don't want certain folders to be searchable, you can exclude them using this feature. Just click this button and add the folder that you don't want to participate in search and just add it to the list, as you can see right here. You can always come back and remove it from the list so they can become searchable. Although Windows 10 now is able to search your entire computer, as you can see, by default, the operating system adds certain folders that are not worth to be searchable. Again, if you need to search into those folders, you can always remove them so they become searchable. Finally, at the bottom of the page, you will find an option to access the advanced settings for search. This actually opens the Control Panel settings, where you can access the advanced settings here and just enable search for encrypted files, for example. You can also troubleshoot search by rebuilding the database and customizing how file format should become searchable on Windows 10. If search stops working, you can use this option to run the troubleshooter to fix most common problems automatically. If you're using this tool, just select the problem that you have and follow the on-screen directions to fix the issue. In this section, you will also find the Permissions and History Settings page. This includes all the same settings for the same page that was previously available for Cortana. In this new version, you're not getting new features or significant improvements with Cortana. Instead, with version 19.03, you will notice that a lot of the settings have been removed from this section. For example, the Talk to Cortana page removed the settings to change the name that Cortana uses to call you. It used to be at the bottom of the page. In the Permissions page, you will notice that most of the settings are gone and now has been relocated to the Permissions and History page for the Settings section. In this new version, the Microphones page now shows which apps are currently accessing the microphone, and at the bottom of the page, you can allow or deny if classic desktop applications can access the microphone. Also, the Cameras page has been updated, and now it will also tell you when an app is currently accessing the camera on your device. In addition, at the bottom of the page, you can allow or deny if desktop applications can have access to your camera. And you will also see a label letting you know when the camera was last accessed by the application. The voice activation page is new to the Settings app, and it includes the settings to manage which applications can listen to voice commands and to continue listening after the keyword is detected. The Phone Calls page, it's also new to the Settings app, and it allows you to manage which apps can make phone calls from your computer. If users can make calls, Windows 10 will use the cellular connection on your phone paired to your device to complete the call. In the Windows Update Settings page, the available options are no longer links, they are buttons with new icons and descriptions. Also, you will now find the option to pause updates in the main page. And the option is also available for devices running the Home edition of Windows 10. If you go to the Advanced Options page, you will still be able to find the option to pause updates, but now you also get a drop-down menu that allows you to select for how many days you want to disable updates on your computer. Well, you can already configure active hours to prevent your device from rebooting when you're actively using it. To apply updates, starting with version 19.03, there is a new option that allows Windows 10 to automatically adjust the active hours based on your computer activity. This new option is called Automatically Adjust Active Hours for this device based on activity, and it is disabled by default, so you have to enable manually through this page. If you want to set the active hours manually, you need to disable the option and then just click the change option, and here's where you change your active hours. Finally, another significant change is starting with version 1903, Windows 10 will be capable of removing updates automatically if your device can't start correctly after the installation. The new feature works automatically when none of the built troubleshooting steps are able to fix the problem. Also, after the update has been removed, you will receive a notification letting you know that the update has been removed to recover your device from a startup failure. And the system will even block the problematic update from installing again automatically for the next 30 days, which should be enough time until the next patch releases with a fix for the issue. Starting with the April 2019 update, in the troubleshoot page, you will now find a new recommended troubleshooting section, which is part of a new feature that allows Windows 10 to fix many critical problems on your device automatically. The operating system may automatically restore default settings for critical services, modify feature settings to match your hardware configuration, or make other specific changes required for Windows to operate normally. Critical troubleshooting happens automatically and cannot be turned off. Windows 10 will also recommend troubleshooting for other problems that are not critical to the normal operation, but might be impacting your experience. For example, the operating system may recommend disabling a setting that sometimes causes an app or a feature to crash unexpectedly until an update is available to fix the problem. Also, you will see a notification when there is a new recommended troubleshooting available for your device. If you click the notification, the Settings app will open in the troubleshoot page, where you can choose whether to run the troubleshooter or ignore it. If you want to see the problems that Windows 10 has fixed already, you can click the View History options to see that information. And even though you can disable the feature, you can click this option to jump into Diagnostic and Feedback page to change the behavior of this new feature. In the delivery optimization page, you won't find new settings, but starting with this new version, there is a new support for a technology called LEDBAT to have better control of uploads in the same network. This feature should prevent saturation of the local network, allowing peer-to-peer upload traffic to back off instantly when the network is utilized for high priority traffic. In the recovery page, if you use the Reset This PC feature, after installing version 1903, you will find a new experience to reinstall Windows 10 with a new interface that is more consistent across devices with different configurations, and now it requires fewer steps to complete the reset. Finally, starting with the April 2019 update, we get a completely redesigned Windows Insider Program Settings page, which aims to remove clutter and move elements around to make it easier to understand and configure. For example, it is now easier to see which ring your device is enrolled, and when you need to switch between rings, you can just click your current enrollment and switch between the different rings available. In addition, if you want to opt out of the program, it is now easier as turning off just one toggle switch. Once you opt out of the program, your device will stop getting previews after the next version of Windows 10 releases. Finally, you probably already noticed, but starting with this new feature update, the settings experience has been updated with a new shadow effect, as you can see right here, for drop-down menus, which is part of the Fluent Design System rollout for Windows 10. And that's pretty much all that's new with the Settings app for the Windows 10 April 2019 update. Now let's talk about the input and language changes with the April 2019 update. In this new feature update, you will find the new Windows Emblema font to read AD-LAM documents and websites. If you write in Vietnamese, Windows 10 now includes the Vietnamese telex and number key-based keyboards for the touch-based keyboard. In addition to the index traditional and script keyboards already available on Windows 10, starting with this new version, the operating system is adding index phonetics keyboards for all these languages. Also, Windows 10 version 1903 now adds a new notification that will appear the first time that you press the left Alt Shift keyboard shortcut. to explain that the shortcut triggers an input change. If you use the touch keyboard, you will now be able to type faster and more accurately. Starting with this new version, Windows 10 will detect your typing behavior and dynamically adjust the hit targets of each key, as you can see right here on this screenshot from Microsoft, based on prediction of what letter you're most likely to type next. Also, starting with the April 2019 update, the Swift key feature for Windows 10 is expanding to all these new languages. Perhaps one of the most useful changes that you will find in this new feature update, it's found in the emoji panel. In addition to updating the emojis to version 12, now when you open the panel using the Windows key plus period or the Windows key plus semicolon keyboard shortcut, you will now notice a button to access Kemojis, which are popular Japanese emoji styles made up of Japanese characters and grammar punctuations. Also, the panel has been updated so you can insert symbols without having to remember the codes to insert symbols or having to look them up online. As part of the symbols, you will find sections for punctuations, currency, Latin symbols, geometric symbols, math, and others. Also, as you insert symbols into text, the most recently used tab will populate your most frequent symbols, which will make it easier to select them the next time. And that's pretty much all that's new with the input and language experience on Windows 10. And now let's just jump into the system changes. Starting with Windows 10 version 19.03, Microsoft is introducing reserve storage, which is a new feature that sets aside part of the device available storage to minimize problems upgrading to a new version or installing updates as a result of not enough space. Reserve storage will set aside around 7 GB of space for updates, temporary files, shifting cache, and apps. But the amount that Windows 10 actually reserves will vary depending on the computer. As you can see on my device, it's less than 3 GB. The way it works, when a new update becomes available, Windows 10 will delete files located in this reserve storage automatically to make room to install updates. If the space isn't enough, the system will clean up other unnecessary files to make more room. In the case that the available space is still not enough, then you will be advised to free up space manually or to connect another external storage, such as a USB drive, which the system can use as a temporary storage. You won't be able to delete the reserve storage, but you will be able to adjust the amount of storage that the system can set aside by removing additional features and languages installed on your system. This feature will come enabled automatically on devices that come pre-installed with Windows 10 version 19.03 or after performing a clean installation of the operating system. So if you're upgrading from a previous version, this feature will not be available to you. If you want to enable reserve storage, there is a way to do it, modifying the registry. So if you're interested in this, make sure to check the video description below for a link on a tutorial on how to do this. Windows 10 is also modifying the brightness behavior to prevent the display from becoming brighter when moving from a battery charger to a battery power. This means that when someone adjusts the display brightness, the brightness will now be remembered as the preferred setting whether you are on battery or connected to a power source. The April 2019 update is also bringing some changes to the Windows console. So this will affect to the command prompt, PowerShell, and the Windows subsystem for Linux. Starting with this new version, on the Windows console, you can now use the control plus the mouse wheel to zoom in and zoom out text on any console. In addition, when using the dark mode system, the scroll bars for command prompt, PowerShell, and the Windows subsystem for Linux will now also become dark. In this new version, you also are going to find a new terminal tab for the properties for the Windows console that allows you to change the terminal color, background color, and the cursor shape and colors. For example, I'm going to select the empty box option for the cursor, and I'm going to use the inverse color for the cursor. And you can even disable scroll forward to limit the scroll to just the last command instead of the entire buffer. As part of the Windows console changes, the April 2019 update is also adding changes to the Windows subsystem for Linux. And perhaps the most important change that you will find in this update is the ability to access the files that make up the Linux operating system from command line or File Explorer. So now you can simply open File Explorer and type this path, followed by the name of the distro that you're using to access all the files. And you can edit the files, add new folders without breaking the feature. If you have multiple distros of Linux installed on your computer, you just need to type this path and pressing enter, you will get a list of all the distros that you can access. Windows 10 version 19.03 is also updating Task Manager with a new option to set your preferred tab when opening the experience. You can get to this new option on Options, and on Set Default tab, you can set the tab that you want to start with Task Manager. For example, like in this case, I'm just going to select the Performance tab, and then I'm going to close Task Manager, and when I open it again, you will see that now we get right into the Performance tab. Also, I skipped this earlier, but I just wanted to point out that starting with version 19.03, the Start menu will now appear on its own separate process, as you can see right here on the Details tab, which according to Microsoft, it will simplify debugging and isolating the experience from potential issues impacting other services. In this new version, you will also find new improvements for Notepad. For example, if you're typing a text document with unsaved changes, you will now notice an asterisk on the title bar. Notepad can now open and save files with a path that is longer than 260 characters, and there are new keyboard shortcuts. Using Ctrl, Shift, N, it will open a new Notepad window. Using the Ctrl, Shift, S, opens the Save As dialog, and Ctrl W will close the current Notepad window. In addition, this new version includes a new option to save files using UTF-8 without a byte order mark, and making this the default option for new files. Also, Microsoft has added a column right here at the bottom to display the encoding of the document. In this new update, Windows 10 is also introducing Windows Sandbox, which is a new feature designed to safely run untrusted applications in an isolated environment without harming your device. This feature is aimed for developers and IT administrators, and it is a feature that uses hardware virtualization and the Microsoft Hypervisor technology to create a lightweight environment using around 100 megabytes of space to install a full version of Windows 10 and run untrusted applications. Actually, it is a virtual machine, but you don't have to create it manually. It all happens automatically. According to the company, Windows Sandbox works very efficiently using integrated kernel scheduler, smart memory management, and virtual graphics. The experience also includes the ability to use the feature in full screen mode using the Ctrl-Alt-Break keyboard shortcut. And it supports configuration files, which allows you to manage different aspects of the experience, including virtual graphics, networking, and share folders. In addition, Windows Sandbox includes microphone and audio input support, and you can use the Shift-Alt print screen to activate high contrast mode. And as I mentioned before, you can use the feature in full screen mode, and in order to do that, you have to use the Ctrl-Alt-Break keyboard shortcut, and using the same shortcut again, it will exit out of the full screen mode. To test an untrusted application, you can just copy the file and paste it on the VM, and then just double click it and go through the installation process. Another way that you can install an application is just to open Microsoft Edge and then just download the installer from the source, and then you can just install it like any other application. After the installation completes, you can use the application like you will normally do on Windows 10. Once you finish using the application, you can close the session And Windows Sandbox will delete everything in the container. And every time that you open Windows Sandbox, you will start with a fresh new copy of Windows 10 on a virtualized environment. The new feature is available for Windows 10 Pro and Windows 10 Enterprise. To enable the feature, open the Windows Feature Experience and then scroll down and make sure to check the option. When you click OK, the feature will install and you will need to restart your computer. But in order for you to enable this feature, your computer must also support hardware virtualization, which is something that you have to check on the BIOS of your computer. The Windows 10 April 2019 update ships with several new changes for Windows security, which includes a new protection history page that will continue to show Windows Defender antivirus detections, but it will give you more and easier to understand information. If you use the Windows Defender offline scanning tool, any detection it makes will now show in this history page. Additionally, if there are any pending recommendations, you will see them with a red or yellow state across the experience of the history list. Also, Windows Security is setting a new tamper protection setting, as you can see right here, for Windows Defender Antivirus, which when it's enabled, it will provide additional protection against changes to key security features, including limiting changes which are not made directly through the Windows Security app. The Windows 10 April 2019 update also includes an updated version of the Snip and Sketch, which is the application to take screenshots on Windows 10. And with this new version, you will now find a new settings page that allows you to select different options. For example, now you can enable an option to get a prompt to save the file before closing the application. You can also enable the option to add an outline around the snip, and you can even change the color and modify the thickness. Also, you get an option to automatically copy the snip to the clipboard. Also, starting with this new feature update, Windows 10 includes a new improved native support for raw image file formats with a new extension, which will bring new features such as image thumbnails, previews, and camera metadata previously not available for raw files in File Explorer. In addition, you can now view raw images in full resolution using apps such as Photos and any other Windows app that uses the Windows Imaging Component Framework. Starting with version 19.03, Windows 10 is also introducing a new setup interface design using lighter colors when running the experience from an ISO file. If you're doing a clean installation on Windows 10 Pro, Enterprise, or Education, the Cortana voiceover will now be disabled by default during the out-of-box experience. Also, the installation process will be updated as the old setup didn't offer easy to understand information when a problem was detected. In the new experience, if there is an issue with an app or a driver, Windows 10 will be able to display a screen with friendly information and the action that you need to take to successfully upgrade your device. For those wondering, the performance of this new feature update is virtually the same as the previous version. The download takes around 3 to 5 gigabytes of storage, and the time to upgrade will depend on your hardware configuration and internet speeds. And that's basically everything that's new with the Windows 10 version 19.03, which we also know as the April 2019 update. Remember to also check my even more extensive written guide that includes everything that we look in this video and many other details. I will be leaving a link in the video description below alongside links to other videos about this update, such as a video on how to upgrade and how to remove the April 2019 update if it is not working correctly on your device. Remember to like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and I just hope this video was informative for you, and I would like to thank you for viewing.